Hello, everyone. Welcome to turn number 2 of our Sport of Kings play-by-email campaign. Have the board set up as things were at the end of our last video. We had completed the random events and the revenue collection and ended the video there. And then in the intervening week and a half, our players did all of the negotiations and sorts of things that they need to do to send me their turn information for their builds and moves for turn 2. So, just a quick refresher on a couple of the things that might have some relevance. In the Duchy of Warsaw, which is that up there, they had a random event which increased their recruitment, which, for the purposes of invading that territory or attacking that territory, gave them an extra 2 troops. So Duchy of Warsaw would normally be a 3 value, but for this turn, if it gets attacked, it'd be considered a 5 value territory. And also, if we turn the camera over just a little bit here, this territory here, the Maharata states, they had a random event that decreased their territory value to 1 for the purposes of invasion. So they're normally a value of 2, and in this case, if it gets invaded this turn, it would only be a value of 1 for the purposes of battle. So with that, I think that's all of the major relevant stuff. Taking a quick gander at the production track here, seeing where we're at. England is sitting at a 28. Closely behind us, France with 27, Austria at 24, Spain at 22. Ottomans are at 18, Prussia at 16, Russia at 15, and Sweden sitting at 6. So we'll see how things go as the game progresses. As we kind of get set back up here. And I have my son here with me. He's going to help me kind of move some stuff around and things like that. And then we'll take it as we can. So with that, we are moving to the naval moves phase of turn 2, because everything else has been completed up to this point in the previous video. For naval movement, the first country that has naval movement is Spain. Spain, and if you'll pardon me, young man, I'm going to shift this stuff over a little bit so we can see. There we go. Excuse me. So, Spain, they have some troops down here in the Indian Ocean. They've got their medium fleet, a light fleet, transport fleet, plus their Marines. They are going to move those from the Indian Ocean into the southern Atlantic Ocean, which for the moment is ironically on the other side of the map on the kind of little naval movement box back there. So, was that honey? Yeah, they can't see the box. Okay, yep, you're right. We'll go ahead and shift this over so we can kind of put it in the middle. There we go. Yep. So what we have here is Southern Atlantic box up there. All right. Next portion of the naval movement in the Caribbean, which is up here. They are moving a medium battle fleet and a light battle fleet. Those are also moving to the Southern Atlantic Ocean. So we'll go ahead and move them over in the box. there. Finally, Cuba. They are going to be moving 3 SPs from Cuba. So they didn't tell me specifically which ones they're moving. So I'm moving 2 colonials and 1 regular. If Spain, I see you're in the chat. If you want to adjust that, you didn't tell me specifically which ones you wanted to move, so let me know and I will adjust that. But for right now, you're moving 1 regular and 2 colonials onto the transport fleet in the Caribbean. That is it for Spain. Sweden also has some naval movement. Sweden is moving 3 SPs from Sweden to the Baltic. So I'm going to come over here and get some tabs, get an extra. Give me some room here. So we got 3 SPs moving from Sweden to the transport fleet in the Baltic. That's interesting. I wonder where they're going to go. Okay, that's fine. All right, and that's it for naval movement. We don't have any hurricanes in turn 2. Naval combat. I should actually go back. Excuse me. Let me back up. I did skip one. We do have diplomatic announcements. So before we move on to naval combat, let me read through some diplomatic announcements. There are quite a few. Start with Austria. Austrian diplomatic announcements. With the successful recruitment and safe passage of Dutchman Anton de Haen, the Empress is happy to open the Viennese School of Medicine in hopes of settling the unrest of our people. Take that as you will for Spain. 2 colonials and 1 regular Spain. Mike, okay, got it. Thank you. England. England now has their public announcement. England has taken it upon itself to ease the court of Hesse's concern over mutiny by providing an expedition. A rogue ship has been responsible for the Martinique plague and is being pursued by English pirates. The rogue ship was believed to be heading to Brazil. Lisbon will be instructed to hand over the ship and crew to the English Navy. So I believe that is in response to Spain's proclamation from last week, decrying the disease that occurred in the French West Indies. France also has a public announcement. From Versailles. British terror on the high seas must stop. It is with deep regret France has authorized the use of force to eliminate the English scourge. So if I'm understanding the French language properly, I do believe that means France is declaring war on England. Prussia has an announcement. Prussia lays claim to the territory of Silesia. We understand this may be unpopular with some of its neighbors and hope there are no further hostilities in the region. Ironically, Silesia is currently occupied by Austria, so we'll see how well that works out. Russia has a couple of announcements. Spain has responded, England's explanation equals fake news. Nice. Okay, Russia. Russia's explanation. The Empress has ordered the bells of St. Petersburg to be rung, marking the signing of a pact with the King of Sweden that heralds in a new era of peace and prosperity between our two nations. Furthermore, the Empress has ordered the South armies under General Kermenikov to repel the unprovoked attack on Mother Russia by the godless horde of the Ottoman Empire. So that's interesting. We have an alliance with Sweden apparently, and they're also ordered the southern armies to attack the Ottomans. Spain. Spain hereby declares, My dearest King George, Senior, unfortunately, due to circumstances that have spiraled out of control, we will have to sever our at one time congenial relationship. We have made innumerable pleas for your assistance in the matter of the diseased saboteurs in the French West Indies, and now Florida and the Leeward Islands, and they have all seemed to fall on deaf ears. King Ferdinand VI, the learned and the just, declares that a state of war now exists between our kingdoms. May God have mercy on us all. So, France and Spain have declared war on England. This will be interesting. Sweden. Sweden rejoices at the signing of a pact with the Tsar of Russia that will herald a new era of friendship, mutual respect, peace, and prosperity between our two nations. All right, with that out of the way, I apologize for skipping that on accident. So with that, the diplomacy is over. We did our moves and build plots. They sent me the turns, and we did our naval moves. Hurricanes don't occur until turn 3, so we don't have to worry about hurricanes during this turn. But now we go to naval combat. And is there any naval combat? Well, as it currently sits, there are no sea zones which contain belligerent navies. Therefore, there is no naval combat. Proceeding on to the next phase, we're going to land moves. All right. Starting with Austria. Austria is moving 3 SP from Württemberg, right here. Now get rid of this guy. Württemberg to Baden. Actually, I'll keep that there because Austria is also moving 1 SP from the Palatinate to Baden. Right there, so that's not what I wanted. I wanted you there. Started with 4 in Württemberg. They now have 1 because they moved 3 out. And then the one from the Palatinate gives 4 in Baden. Austria is moving 5 SP from Modena to Venetia. Boop, right there. And they are moving 1 SP from Austria to Venetia. Right there. They are moving 8 SP from Austria to Bavaria. So I need to break these down. So let me just maintain consistency here. So there is 10 in Austria right now. And then we are moving 8 from Austria to Bavaria. That would be, we will go these 8 here. And then 2 from Austria to Croatia. So we'll move the remaining 2 there. And that is it for the land move it. Moving on to England. England is moving 6 SP from Nepal to the Maharashtra states. They are also moving 6 SP from Hanover to Hesse. So there's 6 there. We'll just move that there. Boom. And then finally, moving 4 SP from Ireland to England. 2, 4. Like that. That is it for the English movement. Next is France. What is France doing? France is doing a lot. France is moving 10 SP from the Netherlands to Westphalia. They're moving 3 SP from Palatinate to Berg. Let's do that. And that there. They're moving 3 SP from northern France to the Netherlands. They're moving 5 SP, which is essentially 4 colonial SP and 1 regular SP, into New England from Lower Canada. They're also moving 4 SP, which comprises of 3 colonial and 1 regular, into New England. It's a nice little interesting battle we got going there. And then finally, from the Palatinate, they're moving 1 SP from the Palatinate back into France. Looks like everything is covered there. And that completes French movement. The Ottomans. The Ottomans are moving 5 SP from Bosnia, which is here. Moving 5 from Bosnia to Dalmatia. And then they're moving 6 from Bosnia to Montenegro. So do this. 2, 2. And then finally, they're moving 3 from Georgia, which is over here, Georgia to Crimea. Right there. Excellent. That's all the movement for the Ottomans. Seems pretty straightforward. Mr. Mike, that would be very nice. Yes, I agree. Prussia, in accordance to their public declaration, they are moving 9 SP from Prussia to Silesia. So that would be these guys here and here. And they're moving 6 from Poland into Silesia. And finally, they're moving 3 from Livonia into Poland. Let me look and see. Let's do this. 2. Let's do this. No, I messed up. Yes, 3. So we will move 1, 2, 3. So they had 7 there before. Let me look real quick, double check. Started with 8, moving out 3. They should have 5 left. So let's get them 2 greens. If I can, I'm going to run out of 2 greens. So they're going to get a green and 2 gray. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. That's it for the land movement. Russia. Russia is moving 2 SP from Kiev to Volhynia. Here. Need to get 1 extra chip. They're moving 2 SP from Lithuania to Kurland. There. So they've got 5 left, so I need 2 grays. And finally, moving 11 SP from southern Russia into Crimea. That's everything that they have posted. Right there. There we go for Russia. Next, we have Spain. What is it ever that Spain shall do? Number 1, Spain is moving the 3 SP on the transport fleet in the Caribbean off the transport fleet into the Leeward Islands. So they're doing an assault there, and they are moving the 3 SP the 6 SP in Florida, which comprised of 3 regulars and 3 colonials from Florida into the southern colonies. And that is it for now for their land movement. Finally, Sweden. Sweden is moving the 3 SP that are in the transport fleet in the Baltic into Denmark. They are moving 3 SP from Pomerania to Mecklenburg. And they're moving a 1 SP from Sweden into Norway. There you go. That is it for now. That's it for the land moves. Going into the build moves, I'll take a moment. Does anybody have any questions, comments? Everybody see everything okay? Take about a 20-second pause for you guys to pop up. Give it a couple more seconds. All right. I think that's a sufficient amount of time. I don't see any questions, so we shall continue to the build phase. Starting with Austria. Austria is building 2 SP in Württemberg. They're also building 2 SP in Croatia. And they're building 1 SP in Austria. And for that, that cost them a total of 25 gold pieces. Now I have their gold off camera, and I'm going to keep it that way because as the game progresses, we might have some hidden transfer of money as things proceed, and I don't want that to be visible. So money distribution at the during the revenue collection, I'll show what each country gains. But I mean, if you guys want to track their spending and stuff like that, you're gonna have to work for it. I'm not gonna give it to you. So that's Austria. Next, we're doing England. England is building 1 SP in the Hanover. And then the exciting one that I think is the most exciting build of probably the entire game of any game that I've seen so far, because I think this is hilarious and it'll be interesting to see how it works out. England is building a small fort. That is right. England is building a small fort. The generals worked, drove their men to erect this fort as quickly as possible. They spent 20 gold pieces, and they're building a small fort in New England. So I think there's a fortuitous chance on their part. Right as England or as France started marching in, England decided to plop down a fort. It makes me giggle. France. Oh, pardon. Let me deduct their money. Another 25. France. France is building a medium battle fleet. The first naval build of the game goes to France. It is being built in the Med, so therefore it is in port in southern France. Lower Canada is building, raising a battalion, as well as Upper Canada. Mysore is raising 2. And finally, they are spending 3 gold in New England to get a +1 modifier on native allies. So, I've got to do the math because France didn't give me easy numbers in increments of 5, so I have to actually work. They spent 29. All right. That is it for France. The Ottomans have a huge build of 1 SP in Crimea. And that's it for 5 gold pieces. Prussia. Prussia's building 3 in the Prussia. Taking your money. Russia. Russia is building. Now, I don't think, excuse me, I don't think Russia's here, and I do believe that I need to check something real quick in my. Yes. Russia is going to build 2 SP in southern Russia. And then 1 in Kiev. Kiev, here we go. And that's it for Russia. Spain. Spain is building 2 SP in Nizam. 2 colonial SP there. Florida is raising 1. Naples is also raising 1. And finally, in the Leeward Islands, they're spending 3 gold pieces to get a +1 modifier for native allies in that battle. So for them, that's a total cost of 23. Finally, Sweden. Sweden is building 1 SP in Pomerania. For 5. All right. Okay, real quick, let me take a moment before we go on to combat to take a look and see where we're at on the chat, kind of catch up. So, going back, Mike, England's explanation equals fake news. Spain hearts France, and France viva España. Michael goes for a sip of the bourbon, but Steve advises him to stay away from the rum. Certainly makes sense. Looks good, sounds good, excellent. Then Mike says, what do we do with the enemy force? We rock and roll them. Excellent. So we'll find out what actually happens with that. So we'll go over the non-player battles first, because it looks like we have 5 player battles. We have New England between France and England. We have Silesia between Austria and Prussia. Crimea between the Russian and the Ottomans. Leeward Islands between Spain and England, and southern colonies between Spain and England. Excuse me. So that'll be exciting. But first things first, we have a whole bunch of non-player combat to do first. So let's kind of go down the list. I see Baden, Venetia, Bavaria, Maharajas, Hesse, Westphalia, Berg. Can't read my handwriting on that one. Volhynia, Courland, Denmark, Mecklenburg, Norway, Dalmatia, that's what that is. I got to do a better job at scribbling on paper so that way I can understand what I read. Okay. Looking at Baden. Baden is here. It's a 1 value territory, and Austria is moving in with 4 SP, so that's a 4-to-1 ratio. That should give Austria a +3 to the die roll modifier. So I'll use this die here. So die roll +3, here we go. 6 plus 3 is a 9, that's a lot. Attacker wins, SP equal to territory in production value. So Austria wins in Berg, and they gain an SP. Or Baden, excuse me, I misspoke. Berg is France. So Austria will go up 1, 25. Let me make a note that they gain 1 SP. Steven Cyrus, I believe you meant Bavaria. Yeah, Bavaria's in there, but there was a DAL. I didn't recognize what the DAL was. That was Dalmatia, or whichever one you happen to be talking about. But I think we're square. I've got them all written down. Venetia. Venetia's right here. It's a value of 2. Austria's moving in with 6. That's a 3-to-1 ratio. That means Austria gets a +2 to the die roll modifier. So Austria +2. 5 plus 2 is a 7. Attacker wins, plus SP equal to a half. So that means Austria will gain +1 SP in Venetia. And again, they go up 2, so they are now up to 27. Again, I will write this down. Bavaria. Bavaria's right here. It's a value of 2, moving in with 8. So that's a 4-to-1. There'll be a +3 to the die roll. Three plus 3 equals 6. Attacker wins. There's no increase in SP, but that does mean Austria goes up to they're at a value of 29 currently. Okay. Moving over to the Maharashtra states, which is over in India, which is right here. moved in with 6. Normally it's a value of 2 territory, but again, because of the random event from last turn, it is currently a value of 1. So 6 to 1 ratio, they get a +5 to the die roll. 5, 5 is 10, equal to SP to the territory value, so they just increase by 1. Hesha. Hesha is up yonder. Yeah. It's a value 2 territory, moving in with 6, so that'd be 3 to 1. +2 to the die roll. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Attacker wins, but they lose 2 SP. So that means I have to break up the red. But they do win the territory. So England goes up 2. Actually, I need to put England up 4 because I didn't do the previous. So they are currently at 32. Let me mark that down. -2 SP. Next is Westphalia. And we have 5, 10. 10 French are moving in with a territory of 2, so that's a 5 to 1. 5 to 1 gives them a +4 to the die roll modifier. Five plus 4 is 9. Tucker wins, plus SP equal to the territory value. So France gains an additional 2 in Westphalia. The Westphalians love the French, apparently. France needs to go up 2. 1, 2. Puts them at 29. Berg is next. Berg is just south. France moved in with 3 SP. It's a 1 value territory, so it's 3 to 1. So they're only getting a +2 to the die roll on this guy. 6 to a 7. Attacker wins, +1 SP. Okay, France goes up in another 1. France is now sitting at 30. And they get +1 SP. Excuse me, Dalmatia. Dalmatia, the Ottomans over here. Let me shift it just a little bit so you can see a little better. Dalmatia right here, they have 5 to Dalmatia's value of 1. That's a 5 to 1. They get a +4 on the die roll. 6 plus 4 is a 10. They win, and then they get an SP equal to the value of the territory. Ottomans go up 1. +1 SP. Volhynia. Volhynia is up here. My head's in the way. My fat head. Russia moved in with 2 SP. It's a value of 1. It's a 2 to 1 ratio. They get a +1 to the die roll. And I rolled a 1. So that makes it a 2. So that means the attacker retreats. But they don't lose anything. So I suppose it's better than not. Let me move back to Kiev because that's where they came from. Courland. Courland also is moved in with 2. Value of 1. 2-to-1 ratio, so it's a +1 to the die roll. Die roll +1. 3 plus 1 is 4. Attacker wins, but -1 SP. So they win Courland, go up to 15 on their value, but they lose 1 SP. So Courland is a -1 SP, but they win. Now Denmark. In Denmark, Sweden is moving into Denmark with 3 SP. It's a value of 1. So it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So it's a +2 die roll. But because it's an amphibious invasion, it's a -1. So they only get a +1 to the die roll. So die roll +1 in Denmark. 5 +1 is a 6. Attacker wins. No change in SP value. Sweden has their first territory. Mecklenburg. Mecklenburg is Sweden as well. Mecklenburg has 3 to a territory of 1, so that's 3-to-1 +2. 1 +2 is a 3. Attacker wins, but -2 SP. So they do take Mecklenburg, but it cost them. Sweden now goes up to 8. Then finally Norway. Norway, he moved in with 1 SP. It's a value of 1, so it's a 1-to-1. That's a +0, so it's just a straight die roll here. Five. Attacker wins. So Sweden goes up to 9. Very good. All right, now before we get into doing the player battles, I need to roll for their native allies. For the French in New England and the Spanish in the Leeward Islands, they each get a +1 to that die roll. So this is the first time we're doing it, so allow me to review the rules. Native Allied SP, the colonial powers, England, France, and Spain, have the ability to gain additional SPs prior to the start of a battle in a colonial territory. These SPs are comprised of native allies that the powers bribe or pay with goods and supplies. In order to gain native allies, a 1d6 is rolled with the result compared to the following table. For every 3 gold pieces spent on this roll, a player receives a +1 die roll modifier. This money must be spent prior to making the die roll, which both sides have. In North America, England may only attempt 1 roll for native allies in a turn. In order to make this roll, the English player must pay 3 gold pieces, and doing so does not gain them a die roll modifier. If a natural 1 is rolled, no native ally SP is generated. Any other SP number, or excuse me, any other number rolled allows them to gain only one native ally SP. If there is more than one battle occurring in North America, the English player must choose which battle the native ally SP is participating in. England and France may not roll for allies for battles occurring in the Caribbean islands or Manila. Spain may not roll for allies for battles occurring in India. Native allied SPs are used during the battle as well as during the retreat before and after combat phases to determine the number of dice to roll for retreat fire. Afterwards, the native allies disperse and return to their homes. So, real quick, before we do anything, before we discuss any retreats and whatnot, we're going to do the die roll. So we'll do New England first. We'll do the French first, and then there is a chart. Let's see if hold the chart up. Yeah, there, that little chart there in the top left corner. So what we'll do is I'm going to roll a die roll for New England, +1 to the die roll, and we'll see what we get. So at the very least, they're going to get at least one ally at worst. 5 pulls it up to a 6. They get three native allies. Now here comes the trick that I have to find them. Give me a moment, please. 1, 2, 3. So here, just so everybody can see, here is the native ally token. Basically what the native ally tokens means is they gets 3 additional dice, and then on those 3 dice, the first 4 is a hit, otherwise everything else hits on a 6. Alright, next we're going to do Spain. Spain is also a +1 of the die roll. They're doing the Leeward Islands. And here we go. 3 to a 4. They get two native allies in the Leeward Islands. One, two. Here we go. All right. So, here's how it sits. We have our battles. We have the retreat before combat phase. I'm going to presume, without even looking at the screen, that France and Spain are not going to retreat from their respective battles. I am also going to presume that England, you know what? I'm gonna make a command decision for England here, because even though I'll give it 20 seconds. Hey, is England in the chat? We'll check Discord. I do not think England is online. England has the funds to do so. So I think England is going to spend, the local commander is going to take their initiative and hand out some money to get an assistance in New England. So if England rolls a 1, they don't get it. Otherwise, they just get 1. 3. So, yep, they'll get 1 native ally. Because we want to make this fun. Native ally. England will also get an militia, because that is a starting territory for them. So I'm going to presume England is not retreating because they just built the fort there, so they're not just going to abandon the fort. They're at least going to give it a go. And then England doesn't have anywhere to retreat from in the Leeward Islands since they don't have any fleets, so they're stuck fighting there. So, and the next option is I'm going to look at Crimea. Oh, yep, you're right, Mike. Thank you for reminding me. You just didn't mark it down, so I didn't know you want to do it. So, but yeah, you could do the native ally roll in Spain or in southern colonies. So that'll be just a straight die roll for Spain and southern colonies. That's a 3. They get 1. So that all works out kind of nice because I only had 1 marker left. Now I just have to find the marker. There it is. Bam. There we go. I guess, yeah, I forgot about the southern colonies. Southern colonies has stuff there as well. Okay, I'll come back to southern colonies. Think about that. Silesia, Silesia, it's easy. Austria just has 1 SP plus 1 militia against Prussia's like 15 or something like that. So Austria is going to attempt to retreat out of Silesia into Austria. And in Crimea, even though they're attacking with 11, the Ottomans are defending with 13. That's close enough. They're going to fight in Crimea. Uh, and then the southern colonies, you know, it would stand to reason that in the southern colonies they would probably retreat out of that into the middle Atlantic colonies, since they're pretty much outnumbered 5-2. That would be a reasonable. I think that would be a reasonable assumption to make. So we'll have retreat there in the southern colonies, and then retreat in Silesia. So we're going to do the retreat in Silesia first because that's easy. Yep, 15 on the nose. So Prussia, Group B, 15. Prussia gets 6 dice, and with the 6 dice, they're trying to roll a natural 6, and if they get a natural 6, for each natural 6, they do a casualty. So here we go. They do get 1 natural 6. So Austria loses 1 SP. Prussia 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Prussia goes up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Prussia wins. James Hughes, yes, please. I'm assuming you're saying yes, please, to retreating out of Silesia. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know you were in the chat. But I say it was a fair assumption, even though they got whacked. But oh well. All right, Southern colonies. France in the New World has 2 colonial SPs, so they get plus 1 die, and then plus an additional die for the native ally. So they're sitting at 2 dice. The English only have 1. England gets no dice. So, again, same thing, rolling 2 dice. Nope, no natural 6. So, England retreats. So Spain goes up 1. England goes down 1. And let's see. Okay. There we go. That is all of the retreat before combat. So now we actually have combat. So I think New England's going to be pretty complicated. So I'll come back to that. Um, uh, Leeward Islands. Let's see. France has 1 regular SP. They have 2 colonial SPs. And they have 2 native allies. And England has 1 colonial SP. And then I need to look for commanders. Got myself a little ledger book that I've been kind of keeping track of everything. So Spain does have 1 subgeneral joining the fight. So España, where is your subgeneral? Right here. Yeehaw! So again, subgeneral will be used to help modify dice if necessary. All right, so here we go. Just to kind of make it up, England's going to be the green die. They just have a colonial unit, so they need to get a. Actually, this is the first time we fought with them, so let me get the modifiers real quick. All right, green die. Colonial SP. For every die, the first 5 rolled is a hit. Beyond that, every 6 is a hit. So since there's only 1 die, if they get a 5 or a 6, they'll hit. This will be the Spanish regular SP, black. Again, that's just a straight 5 or 6. And then this will be the Spanish colonial SP. Again, same thing. For every 5 or first 5, every 6 after that. So in that case, it's a 5 or 6. And then he's got 2 native allies there. So with the native allies, the first 4 hits, everything else is on a 6. So if there's 2 4s, he only gets 1 hit. If he gets a 4, and then the other one's a 5 or a 6, then they both hit. So again, green is English colonial, black is Spanish regular, white is Spanish colonial, and then red is Spanish native allies. Oh, wow, we got a lot of 6s here. Holy cow. Like, wow. I don't know if you guys could see that die roll on there, but that's a lot of hits. So we said the black was the English SP, so they do cause 1 casualty. And then amongst everything else, they do 3 casualties on the English. So that poor little English garrison is wiped out. So Spain will go up 1 and England will go down 1. I'll just get that out of the way real quick, and then we will figure out. So the English SP goes down regardless. Now we need to figure out how to assign casualties. Don't need to roll for the leader, even though the leader's present, because there's more than enough hits to do the job. So if a guard SP, Marine, Militia, or Native Ally SP caused a hit against the enemy, and so there was one. Oh, you know what? Pardon me. I'm an idiot. The British should have also gotten a militia unit. So let me roll for that militia unit real quick. Regardless, even if they hit, the Spanish still win because they got 3 hits against the British 1. 3, so no, doesn't matter. It missed. So all the British are wiped out because there's more hits than there were troops available. All right. So on the conversely, there are 2 native allies. One of them caused a hit. So I need to roll 1 on the native ally to see if the hit gets applied to them. If I roll a 1 on this die, then the hit applies to the native ally. 1. I did roll a 1. The hit applies to the native ally. So Spain comes in and just crushes the English garrison in the Leeward Islands. 1 native ally remains till the end of the turn. The other native ally was the vanguard and took the brunt of the English fire. All right. Let me write this down. Leeward. SP wins. -1. I think I can understand my chicken scratch. All right. We will go to Crimea next. Okay, I need to figure out what commanders we have present in Crimea. There are a couple. The Ottomans have the king and a subgeneral present. Ah, Dave Entwistle. Welcome, welcome. We're coming up to you. On Russia. You're attacking Crimea right now. We're doing this battle right now. It's fortuitous for you to join in. You're attacking with 11 SP, and the Ottomans are defending with 13 SP. The Ottomans also have their king and 1 subgeneral present, and I didn't look up yours. I need to look up yours real quick. You have your king and a subgeneral present, so this is going to be fun. Oh, hey, it's Todd. Hey, Todd, how's it going? Nice to join. Thanks for joining. All right, so then Dave, real quick before we get further in Crimea, I kind of sent you a message but didn't see a response. In your builds, you had said that you're going to build 2 SP in southern Ukraine, but that would have left southern Russia empty. So I put both those builds in southern Russia. If you want, if that's okay, that's fine. Or if you want me to, I can split it so you have one and one. Just type in the chat what you want me to do. And then Russia has 2 and a 1. Let's see, is that visible over there? All right. So Russia has 11. They're attacking with 11. So that rounds to 6 dice. So they will be the green dice. These are all regular SP, so these all hit on 5s and 6s. The Ottomans have 5, 6, 7, 13. They have 13. Rounded up gives them 7 dice. They'll be white, 6, 7. But since Crimea is their home territory, is a home territory for them, they will also get a militia unit. Which I think I misspoke previously. Militia units only hit on 6s, which it didn't matter the other battle. They only hit with. They rolled like a 3, so it ended up being a nothing burger. So they also have a militia. So I will designate that militia die with the red die. The red die, if that red die rolls a 6, that counts as a hit. Dave, 1 and 1. Yep, no problem. We'll do that right now before I forget. Boom, there you go. So yeah, it puts you 2 in southern Ukraine, 1 in southern Russia. All right, now the other thing is because the Ottomans are defending. Again, let's look. It's the first time we're dealing with this. They have 14, so they get 2 defensive works. Basically, defensive works kind of operate like commanders, except in this case they allow the defender to reduce the opponent's die roll as opposed to the commander's, which increases their own die roll. So, and stand by a second, my cord's getting twined. I'll be off for a second. All right, there we go. Much better. Okay. Now, the other thing about the Ottomans is, even though the Ottomans are rolling 7 dice, their first 5 that they roll does not count. The Ottoman Empire during this period um, didn't do the upgrades that they had in the later periods, and so they weren't quite able to match up with some of the European powers. So to reflect that, that's how that's indicated. So we're going to roll the dice first, and then after we roll the dice, then we'll start applying die roll modifiers with the commanders and stuff. So if I roll it over here, yeah, I'll roll it over here because I can see that. 5s and 6s. Wow, lots. So these don't count. Well, maybe we'll leave them here. All right, as it stands, the red goes away. As it stands, we're sitting at a 4-4. Correction, 4 Russian hits to 2 Ottoman hits. -1 due to the inferiority of the Ottomans. So Ottomans still have 2 5s left over, so they can bump that up. There's really not much more. All right, first things first, though. The leaders. Let's modify our die rolls here. Ottomans have their king and a subgeneral, so the king could use a +2, and then with their subgeneral additional +1. But it wouldn't matter because even with the 3 upping the 3, it wouldn't make a difference. So one subgeneral is going to roll 1 attack to a 5, and then the other subgeneral is going to roll, or the king is going to use one of their abilities to increase it to 5. So the Ottomans currently have 3 hits. The Russians are they have a 4. They'll use the subgeneral to roll that to a 5. So there's 1 on the subgeneral. Here, I'll put it back here. 1. And the Ottomans are here and here. Now, Dave, since you're in the chat, you can't really see the video very well, but the Ottomans still have the ability to apply a -2 spread out between either all in one hit or a couple hits. Right now, you're beating him 5-3. Well, either way, I mean, even if he applies both of them to one hit or spreads them out, to 2 different hits, you're still going to beat him at minimum 4-3. So here's the question: do you want to use your king to bump up your 3 to a 5? So that way either way, it's still going to be a 4-3 regardless. Even if you don't. So yeah, it's not going to matter. So you don't have to use your king. You're still going to beat him 4-3 because even if you bump this one up to a 5, he'd use each defensive against each one to drop them down to a 4, which would be a 4-3. Or he would, since you got so many 6s, I mean, even using one defense against a 6 would drop it to a 5, or if he'd use 2 defenses against a 6, it would drop it to a 4. He'd still get you you'd still get him 4-3. So regardless of what happens, so I don't have to worry. So your king was not didn't have to be used in battle, whereas the Ottomans used their subgeneral, and so. You did 4 hits to his 3 hits. That means you win. Let me do the casualties real quick. And then you got 3 hits, so that means this 5, you only have 2 remaining. There. Militia goes away, it doesn't matter. Okay. So, Russia wins. Oh, I got it. So let me back up because he might have spoken. So go Russia. Itinerary hobbyist listening to the war. 1-1. We talked about that already. Okay. Iron Rider. No. Spain will be dressed in blue for the winter and spring. Itinerary hobbyist. Are you fighting any of the battles in miniature, or is it all on the board as we said? This campaign is dice. It's a online board game. As things progress um, down the road, maybe the next campaign. As I get miniatures painted up, I'll do some of these battles in miniatures. I think initially what I might do is like print out some paper miniatures, and then as I get stuff painted, then I'll substitute the paper miniatures with actual miniatures. Yep, Iron Rider, that's correct. It is on the board with dice only. Tanner Hoppers, holy big board. I thought this was a small map we were looking at. Just saw your arm and size. Yeah, it's a 4x6. The map is a 4x6 map. And then Mike says, in the winter we will drink wine of Hessian's tears and make a toast of our victorious dead. David Entwistle, huzzah. Yes, very much so. Okay, so before I get distracted, I've already been distracted. Let me undistract myself. Russia wins. They lost 3 SP. Ottoman will retreat to Georgia because that is the shortest route to their home country. Retreat to, and they had -4 SP. All right. Let me run retreat fire real quick. So the Ottomans are retreating with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 to Georgia. Russia is holding with 8. So let me look at Russia's group E with 8. 2 dice. Ottoman's A with 9, 4 dice. Yeah, so Ottoman would have 4 retreat dice to Russia's 2. So Ottoman or the Russians do not get retreat fire on the Ottomans, just because the Ottomans have that much more dice than them. So that is how it will be. Now the last thing we need to do is determine officer casualties. So Russia just used a subgeneral. That's 2d6. And I believe they have to get an 8. Where's my notes? Commander casualties. There we go. Commander applies their leadership rating to any attack rolls they are putting themselves into the thick of battle. Each general rolls a 2d6. Subgenerals become casualties on an 8+. Kings and commanding generals become casualties on a 10+. Though, if kings use 2 or 3 leadership points, they become casualties on an 8. Since the king only used 1 leadership point, the Ottoman king only used 1, then they're only on a 10+. So here's the Ottoman subgeneral. Need to get an 8 or a 7 or less to be safe. Oh, they got an 8. So the Ottoman subgeneral is a potential casualty. What is it they get? Roll 1d6 to determine the severity. They got a 4. 4 means the commander is killed. So that means he is available to be used out of Turkey on the next turn. Now the king. Is the king going to be a casualty? It's on a 10+. That's a 4. The king is not a casualty. The king will retreat with his troops into Georgia. And then As far as Russia goes, the subgeneral is the subgeneral, a casualty. Got a 9, so he is a potential casualty. Let's see. So let me rephrase that. The Ottoman subgeneral was killed, therefore the Ottoman subgeneral is available in turn 4. They have to sit out a turn. So the Russian general is a 1. The Russian general is just wounded. So the Russian general is moved back to the capital, north central Russia, and the Russian general is available immediately in turn 3. So the Ottomans go down 1, Russia goes up 1. That is the Battle of Crimea. That all makes sense for everybody? I think we got that square. All right. Finally is the Battle of New England. Iron Rider, Mr. New England, you're here. You're being attacked by the Canadas. You have one native ally. You weren't here, so I took the initiative to roll you for native ally, so you generated a native ally. You have your militia for the territory. You have 2 colonial SP, 1 regular SP. And your small fort, so you'll get three dice for that. Those 3 SP can get all of their dice for that. The French are attacking with 2 regular SP and 7 colonial SP plus 3 native allies. Now you do have the option to retire to the Middle Atlantic colonies. So since you're here, you just built the fort, so I was going to go with you fighting it because of the fort. Otherwise, you can retreat. Leave that discretion to you. I'll give you a couple seconds. All right. Didn't hear anything. Didn't see anything. Check Discord. Maybe he popped onto Discord if I could find my phone. It's right in front of my face. All right. He hasn't responded, so we'll keep going. So real quick, let me check if there's any generals present. The English do have a subgeneral. And the French. The French also has a subgeneral. Montcalm versus Wolfe. Here we go. All right. So I'm gonna have to pull this out. Let's see, let me pull this over here. All right, we're up top here. Native ally, militia, got a fort. So basically what the fort does is instead of getting 1 die for every 2 SP, a small fort allows you to get 1 die for every SP up to 4, and then a large fort gives you 1 die for every up to 6. So there's the native allies over here. 2 regulars. 7. And then what do I do with that French general? All right. Apparently I'm missing a token. What did I do with him? I don't remember. Oh, he fell out of my hand. That's what. All right. Now, English is a defensive battle. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that, I don't know if that's, I can't remember if that's enough. Maybe it's enough to give them at least 1 defensive works. Yeah, 3 to 10 SP. The number of penalties that a defender may apply is based on the total number of SP, including guard, marine, militia, and native. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they get 1 defensive work. All right. I think because the English have smaller dice, it might be easier to roll their dice first. So, they get 2 dice for their colonial SP, 1 die for their regular SP. And again, the colonial SP on 5, the first 5, and then the rest are 6s. And then the regular is 5 and 6. The militia would be this black die here. He only hits on a 6. And then since there's only 1 native ally for the English, they will hit on a 4, 5, or 6. So I'm going to go ahead and roll those first. The English, this hits. The colonials do not hit. The militia does not hit, but the Native American does hit. All right. Yeah, because even with the commander giving a +1 to the colonial rolls of 3s, it wouldn't matter. So, so right now we're sitting on 2 hits for the English. Go on to the French. The French have 2 regular SP, so they get 1 die for that. They have 2, 3, 4, 7. That gets rounded up to 4 colonial dice. And then they get 3 native dice. Where did all my dice go? There we go. 3 native dice. Like that. All right, here we go. All right. All 3 natives hit. Actually, disregard. They had 2 5s and a 6. So the first 4 hits, and then all the rest need to be 6s. So the 1 5 and 1 6 hits. The remaining does not. The regulars got a 3, so that does not hit. The colonials got a 6. 1 6, so that hits. So right now we're sitting at 3 English casualties to the French taking 2. So at the moment, the French win. Are there any 3s in there that can turn to 4s, 5s? Nope. There's nothing that the British commander can do to bump their dice up to give them an extra hit, and the French commanders, they don't have an extra die because the commander's hits get applied before the defensive works. So there's no hits. Actually, what we can do, yes, there's a 4. So that commander can roll this to a 5. So that'd be 4 hits. But the defensive works will then say, I'm going to apply the defensive works to that. He's going to take it out on the native ally. So that way the native ally doesn't cause a hit. So that gets rid of 2 native allies causing hits. So the French win 3-2. Huzzah, France. France takes New England. New England, with what they have left, will retreat. So first things first. 2 casualties against France. So it's the 1 hit. See if the casualty gets applied to the native ally. It does not. So France takes 1 colonial casualty and 1 regular casualty. Conversely, there's 3 hits against the English. The militia did not hit, so it's not a potential casualty. So the question becomes, hold on a second, I gotta make sure that extra hit doesn't apply to. All right, no, that's fine. So the native ally, does it become a casualty? No. So since there's 3 casualties against the English, all of their SPs are eliminated. They don't have anything left to retreat with. Well, they do. They have the native ally. The native ally would retreat to Middle Atlantic colonies. So then we got to do. Oh, there was. I put them out there already. I'm an idiot. So retreat fire on that. The French have 4, 5, 6. 3 plus 3. They have 6 pursuit dice, whereas the English, they just have a native ally. So the French get to roll 6 dice. If they get 1 hit, they kill the native ally and they'll capture the commander. So let's see if that happens. 6. Oh, nope. Just missed it. Got away. Well, they had 6 dice minus the native ally 1. They didn't roll a 6 anyway, so it doesn't matter. So the English command subgeneral gets away. But the French commander did cause a casualty, so we need to roll for him. 6, no casualty. He's fine. All right, there we go. So I believe that is all of the battles. So France win. -1 regular, -1 colonial. England destroyed. Sub to Middle Atlantic colonies. There we go. So France goes up 2, England goes down 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. I do believe, and then with that, all of our native allies will retire back to their homes. The fort goes away because that gets destroyed. I do believe that is it for combat and retreats. We have accomplished everything. Everybody's done all their movements. Shift this over here. All battles are complete. Oops. All battles are complete. Going to the supply and control phase. Nobody is out of supply. Nobody, everybody has their bills replacing their moves, so nobody lost any territories from that. So I think as far as that goes, we're good to go. That ends turn 2. Bonus round. Turn 3, random events. Of course, my percentile dice are way over here. Stand by a second, I'll be right back. Announcements happened at the beginning of the term, Dave. So, here we go, here we go, here we go, go. Random events, turn 3. This is the winter turn. How many random events do we have? We have 5. 5 random events. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's going to be first? Or what's the first one going to be? The first one is 6 unrest. Next is 9. Desertion. Hoo-hoo, who's going to desert? Desert. 8. Dis-ease. Disease. 6 again, that gets us back to unrest for number 4. And finally, 12. That's a lame one. That's no event. That's not a fun random event. We should change that so everything is something. So there's only 4. Unrest, desertion, disease, and unrest. Looks like the winter turn is harsh, boys. So who's going to be the first territory? Who's getting the unrest? 10. I should probably use my other chart that has them listed in alphabetical order. The Maharashtra states is unrest. And as a reminder, unrest is production value is a halved in the territory, round down. No SP may be raised in the territory this turn. So Maharashtra's 2 value 2, it'll be -1 gold piece for the English. Next, 74. North Central Russia. North Central Russia is the Russian capital, and they have a desertion. Now, you can't really have your capital, you can't give up your capital. So, is Mr. Dave still in the chat? Dave, I will give you an option. You can either abandon Central Russia or Northern Russia. I'm not going to let you do Kurland because that's only a 1 value territory. You said yes, but I gave you an either or. So, North or Central? Waiting for the chat to catch up. Says accept the capital. That's lame. Accept the capital territory. Okay, so disregard. Got to read the damn chart. Good job, Steve Cyrus. All right. Lame. Lame-o. All right, so that's a nothing burger. Disease. That's an 88. Podalia. Podalia, 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 Podalia. Podalia, I think, is in... there we go. Podalia is up here. That means no one can enter that territory during turn 3. And then finally, 64. Moldavia. Moldavia is right here, and Moldavia is unrest. That also gives them -1 gold piece. All right, so that's it for that. I know you didn't write them. I didn't technically write them either. Okay. Offboard front allocation. This is for the Ottomans. They rolled a 3 on that, so that's a -6. So they'll be at a total -7. Jacobite Rebellion. This is the fun one. All right. Did the Jacobites roll a 1? Well, they roll a 1. Everybody, this is the best part of the game, is figuring out if the Jacobites are going to revolt. Nope, they got a 6. They don't. So there's no Jacobite rebellion. And there's no tropical diseases that we have to roll for. That's a winter turn only, or no winter turns. And Spanish treasure fleet, that's a spring turn only. So that is it for the random events. So then for revenue collection, Sweden is going to gain 6, or correction, 9. Russia is going to gain 17. The Ottomans are going to gain 11. Prussia is going to gain 21. Both Spain and Austria are going to gain 24. England will gain 27. And France will gain 32. So that concludes our stream for today. The battle, the turn results. Can we pay off the Scots? So you think of like a die roll modifier? Yeah, we'll talk about it. I don't know. It depends on how much you want to bribe me. We'll see. All right. So that's it for today, everyone. I'll go ahead and do another kind of turn summary. Probably not tonight. Maybe Friday. I might be able to get it out Friday. But other than that, um, uh, that's it for today. So, we did revenue collection. Yeah. So, yeah, what do we have happen? We got Spain and France at war with England, and we have looks like Prussia and Austria at war with one another, and Russia and the Ottomans at war with one another. So that's pretty interesting. The only one that's keeping their nose clean right now is Sweden. And yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see how things flop with one another. How is the France-Spain alliance going to interact with either the Prussian-Austrian War or the Ottoman-Russian Wars. We almost have kind of 3 separate wars going on right now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all of that materializes and if what happens further on. So, all right, everybody. I think we've been going long enough. Looks like we've been going for almost 2 hours. I was kind of hoping it would go a lot faster since we didn't have any of the setup stuff. But we had quite a lot of battles today. So I know some of you over across the pond are It's pretty late for you all, so we'll end it here. You all have a good evening, and we will talk to you all later. Have a good one.